Hey there, welcome to the Mental Perk podcast. I'm Karla Hutcherson, licensed professional counselor.
And I'm Brandi Mock, entrepreneur, author, and community leader. And we're here to talk about
real people, real issues, and real talk.
Welcome back to the show. We are so excited to have Larry Armsteed from Evansville, Indiana. He is here to talk to us today about human design. How interesting. I've never heard anything about human design. Maybe it's because I'm behind.
Well, no, until we met Larry, we'd never heard of it before.
So, Larry, talk to us about human design, what got you into it, all the good stuff that comes along with it.
Well, I mean, it's a thing it's coming up in the world. If you look, I believe it was Time Magazine a couple years ago, they said it's the next big spiritual practice on the rise to kind of be on the lookout for.
Okay.
But my journey into human design was, almost forced. But like most spiritual practices and most healing practices it happens whether you're looking for it or not.
Okay.
Life happens, and that's what spits you out. So at the time, I was in a 9.5-year relationship, thinking, this is the person I'm going to be with for the rest of my life. And he came in one day and was like, I think we should separate. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And
you weren't expecting it at all.
No, just took you by surprise.
Yeah. I mean, when I say blindside, I was literally, he got home at like 9:30 that night. I'm in the bed. I'm like, how was because he'd gone on a trip. And then he was like, he had gone to a different location than the trip. He was originally supposed to go, I believe, to Chicago, ended up in St. Louis. And I was like, you didn't think to tell me that?
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? I think we should separate because I think you're trying to control me and where I'm going. And I'm like, it's basic relationship etiquette.
Well, and it's called concern and making sure something happens.
Absolutely.
You're safe. I mean, you get a phone call and you think he's somewhere and he's somewhere else. You're like, what's going on?
That was my point.
Yeah.
But he was like, I think we should separate. So I'm like, what? And so he goes on this whole 2.5-hour diatribe about how I have been the most awful person. And I'm like, huh? And like, anyone that you'll meet in my life or that you'll talk to in my life will be like, yeah, we could have told you from day one when you brought him around, he wasn't the right one. Something wasn't clicking all the way up here. But I was in a position where, I thought I had to settle.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, well, you're a gay guy in the Midwest. Your options are really limited.
Right. Sorry, guys. We are
in a hotel here in Evansville.
We're working remotely, so we got a little background.
It just gives a little character.
Yeah.
Gives a little character.
You know what? She's doing her job.
Doing her job. She's doing her job. That's right. And she's doing a great job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I thought my options were limited. So, and this will swing all around back to human design, but the first time that I had a date with him and sat in his apartment, I literally can remember in my body sitting on his couch and everything in my body screaming, no, absolutely not, no. But my trauma response at that point was, but I can fix this.
Therapists
That
come
is
in.
so important to really highlight that because so many people get into relationships, they're feeling pressured to kind of move forward in the next stage of life, and they end up in relationships that don't feel right. And when they don't feel right from the very beginning, there's no way to say, I'm going to change this person and make them into exactly someone who fits me. And so that's the hard part is people spend a lot of time trying to do that rather than really focusing on, do we have the same values? Is our foundation similar? Do we really feel like we can build from here? And they don't do that from the very beginning.
Yeah, and unfortunately, if you've not been through counseling, I want to see the best in people.
Yeah.
I really believe that, especially too when you start dating someone, you hear that they've had a bad, hard relationship, or whatever. You start going, okay, well, you know what? This is manageable, right?
Yes.
And then it ends up being just what you said. You're making exceptions.
Yes.
You're trying to please more than please yourself.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it just turns into a hot mess.
Well, relationships aren't just attraction. They have to be connection. And that's the important part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, I was in such a state of desperation because I grew up in the church. We're in the Midwest. We're in Southern Indiana. You guys have been here for a day.
Bible Belt.
You've seen 50,000 churches, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Just in going to eat and coming back here, right? So my uncle had a church. So I grew up in the church and hearing the the preaching from my uncle that your lack of desire for the opposite sex was never meant to be perverted and turned into a desire for the same sex. Instead, it was intended for you to give up everything that you have and live a life of quiet devotion toward God. And I'm like, that didn't sit right with me.
Yeah.
But, you preach that from,
Yeah.
the time you're this big.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's ingrained in your head. So, I mean, there was even a point in life that in college, in undergrad, I was very public and anti-gay. We had the Gay Alliance come to class. Yeah. We had the Gay Alliance come to class, and I'm like, you're going to hell. I'm doing all of the things that the church teaches me to do.
Wow.
And so it's finally when I accept that, okay, well, this isn't going away. You can't pray this away.
Yeah.
This is it. This has been here since you've been, old enough to know what this is. I'm like, okay, well, you're in the Midwest. You're going to be limited for the people you can date.
So you settle.
Yeah, settle for what you can get. Even though everything in my body is screaming, no, 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 no. And I'm like, okay, but Larry, no, you can change him. You can fix this. You're good at helping people and things like that. So against my better judgment, against my body's better judgment, I went and embarked on a 9.5-year relationship with this person.
Wow.
And
I mean, you really tried.
Oh, yeah.
And you think about that, people in your situation or in other situations where they are kind of settling and thinking they can change them, how many years they waste that they could have been with somebody else.
9.5.
Yeah.
And then that throws you into a tailspin, doesn't it?
Yes,
Because
and
you're
that
like, I did 9 years. It's scary to even think about anything else.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
It was that, and kind of like you were saying about matching of the values. Everything was just a complete mismatch. I mean, when your parents tell you, "I don't think this is it," your sisters, and I have 6, 7 brothers and sisters. This is not it. All my uncles and aunts. This is not it.
But you didn't listen to anybody.
It made me dig my heels in further. No, I can make this work. This is going to work. And then about 8.5 years into that relationship, my friend Michelle. Shout out Michelle.
I was going to say, shout
Hey,
out
Michelle.
She, we were talking, and she said, and we were new friends at that point. And Michelle is all about, emotional healing, emotional resilience, and all that stuff. And she said, do you realize you have trauma? And I was like, I do not have trauma. Because at that point, I was so unfocused on myself. I was focused on making this relationship work by any means necessary. But also, I was so out of my body at that point. I was on 3 anti-anxiety pills. I had not processed the death of my brother that happened when I was 15 years old. But I was thinking, when she said you have trauma, I was like, okay, trauma is when you get in a car accident and you lose an arm, or, you have a major health scare, or, I said, the only trauma I have is my brother died. And she was like,
That's trauma.
Yeah.
she was like, dude, no one's told you about the big T and the little T traumas? And I was like, what are you talking about? Because I'm a big spiritual guy.
Yeah.
I'm all things spirituality, and then emotional, second for me. And she was like, dude, I think you should go see a therapist. And I was like, fine, they're going to tell me I'm great. And I went to see my therapist, and he was like, so yeah, you have trauma.
Big T, little T, we don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's just, we're going to treat it.
Absolutely. And he was like, I just want you to talk. Let me know what's going on with you. Tell me about your growing up. And I'm like, I'm not telling him all this. But as a therapist will, he started putting together all the little connector pieces.
Peeling back layers.
Yes. And there was stuff there that I didn't know was there.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm feeling things. And little by little, as I went through therapy, we did EMDR for a lot of it.
Yes.
Oh, wait, stop. Explain what that is.
Eye rapid movement desensitization. Desensitization.
Stop talking.
Every time I try to say that word, I have the toughest time saying that word. And I'm like, every time someone says, what does that mean? I'm like, oh, great. Got to say it again.
Sorry.
And basically, your eyes mimic what happens with what you're doing when you're in REM sleep.
Yes.
And he takes you through that. He takes you to your trauma, whatever trauma memory you have recalled, and he leads you through it with a safe spot, and you basically get to put a cap on that memory. So it's not like you're not in trauma. You finally get resolve to the distress that never got resolved to begin with.
My eyes be fluttering the whole time.
Yeah, this one doesn't sleep very well. She needs some good REM sleep.
Gotta get you some good REM sleep.
Maybe she does need a little EMDR as well.
I
But yeah.
So, I mean, we went through that, and, you know, it gets to be kind of like the 9th year of their relationship. And I'm recognizing that I don't recognize him. Like, he's looking different to me. Because I'm healing at that point. He's looking different to me. He's smelling different to me. He's behaving. I'm like, did I put up with this for 9 years? Did I not notice this was happening?
Carly, you sure did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. I mean, everything is looking like he's just vibrating different to me. Like, I don't recognize him at all. And I remember at one point going down to the river here in the city of Ohio and saying, oh my God, what is happening? Am I falling out of love with this person? Well, the truth is, I was never in love with the person.
Exactly.
Like, there was never in love. Like, I had to force the connection. I had to force the attraction.
You were in need of that person.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Nowhere near in love. Wasn't even in the same state as in love, right?
Yes.
So although I was doing all this healing and therapy, even when he said, and even with all these realizations that I'm having in myself, when he said, you know, I want to separate, it still hit me, you know, like a curveball, because we'd had a, 4,000 square foot house. We had 2 cats. We had, insurance together. We
had a family.
We had
it was
everything.
your life together. Yeah.
And to know that that's all going to evaporate in smoke. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was just insane for me. So I didn't fight it. Of course, I threw my tantrums because, there was still some unhealed stuff in there.
Right.
But eventually I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna beg anyone to stay with me that doesn't want to be with me. I'm not in the business of keeping anyone who doesn't want to be kept. So cool. Go spread your wings.
Yes.
And the only thing that I knew as I was talking to my therapist, I was like, I think the only way for me to do this is to make the cleanest of all breaks, like a complete severing. And my therapist was like, are you sure? I'm like, yes, I have to jump into, and that's the approach I use as a life coach with people. I have to jump into the 16-foot end of the pool and swim back to 3 foot.
Yeah.
It is no good for me to start in 3 foot, because if 3 foot, but look at all that down there. No, just throw me into the deepest end of the pool and let me swim back to the easy part. So I did that. I sent messages to all of our friends that we had together. I said, I love you guys. I don't know what he's going to tell you, but I'm going to go gracefully bow out. I love you guys. It's nothing personal. This will be the last time you hear from me. Blocked everyone.
And that's traumatic too, because your social setting gets changed, and it's an awkward feeling, and it's just you're a little lost. I think.
I mean, those are 9-year friendships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So blocked everyone. We had 2 cats. He was like, "What do you want to do with the cats?" I'm like, "You wanted the cats. The cats are yours." Broke my heart, because those cats were my heart. But I'm like, I don't want any reminder.
Yeah.
Furniture and things like that. I was like, no. I got an apartment. This is at the height of COVID. Yeah, it was then. So not only do we have, collective trauma going on with COVID, we have, this personal trauma going on. I found an apartment at the complex that he and I had used to rent from when we first started dating. They only had 1 unit, and I said, okay, universe, please just do me a solid. Just let there be a washer and dryer. And they were like, we have 1 unit, it's on the top floor, has a washer and dryer that comes with it. I was like, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, can I come see it? They were like, someone's in it. I was like, fine.
Yeah.
I've lived here before.
I'll take it as
I'll
is.
take it. Yeah. So I moved in and put the apartment together, decorated it very nicely, and then I couldn't stay there. My parents lived only 3 minutes around the corner from me. I could not be alone with me.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's normal, right? I guess just feeling lonely and the
Well,
stillness and quiet.
I mean, part of the way we get through things is to distract ourselves. And when you're sitting alone, it's hard to distract yourself. So when you're with other people, you get distracted.
You should have taken the cats.
Probably should have taken the cats. But what I did is I decorated the apartment. I've been big into theater, so I did a couple theater productions. We couldn't have audiences in because it's COVID, so that really wasn't like what I was expecting it to be. It had to be like a very distant show on the stage, so it wasn't really an engaging theater experience. But I noticed that every day, because I work from home for my traditional 9 to 5, I couldn't stay at home for my traditional 9 to 5. I would grab my laptop at 7 in the morning, get up, go to my parents' house, go into the den, and that's where I would be until about 9 o'clock that night. And then I would come back to my apartment, I would take a shower, and I'd go to bed. Wash, rinse, and repeat. So when my parents would say, oh, we're going out of town for this weekend, we're doing something for this weekend, I'm in complete tailspin. What am I going to do? Because I've cut off every friend.
Yeah.
I've done so it's just me.
Yes.
And my closest friends are, Michelle's in Connecticut. My friend Ann is in West Virginia. My closest cousin, one of my closest cousins, is in Nashville. I have another friend, Amber, out in Vegas. So I'm like, everyone is
And
everywhere.
it's COVID, so it's not like you can just get on a plane and travel.
No.
Yeah.
And so I'm at mom and dad's every day. And I'm to the point where mom is like, have you eaten? And I'm like, oh, I don't even know. And mom's like, eat. So she, mom's making sure that I eat. I don't think I had groceries in my apartment for the first 6-8 months I was there.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, I was just it was just getting all of this done. And of course I'm still doing therapy and all of the things. And finally one day I was at mom's and I'd been there, like I said, for about 6 months. And mom said, and of course I'm stuck on repeat. Of the, how could this, I can't believe that. I'm in that story for 6 months. And mom is a very no nonsense. Here's what it is. Mom looked at me and said, all right, I'm done. And I'm like, what do you mean you're done? You're like, you gotta go. It is time, little birdie, to fly. You will be fine. And I'm like, so again, I'm feeling like, oh my God.
You're getting rejected.
Yes, my safety net is being pulled out again.
Yeah.
And at that same time, Michelle calls me and she was like, hey dude, I was wondering, would you be interested in just coming up to Connecticut just to hang out? Like, we do our healing work remotely together. You want to do it in person? And mom was like, he's coming.
Way to go, Mom.
Pay for the ticket.
So
We need our moms to do that.
Yeah.
we need our moms.
Yeah.
Because, there was so much trauma that happened during their relationship. He had me to believe, and I actually did believe it, that, oh, you'll never travel. You never do any of those things without me. And I believed that.
Yeah, it's paralyzing.
Yes.
It's very paralyzing.
And so booking that plane ticket, I'm like, oh my God.
And that had to have been stressful too, because you're not used to doing that. You've been isolated. Yeah. But were you excited a little just to get out?
Thrilled.
Okay.
So I went to Connecticut, stayed for a week, had the greatest time of my life. And a little bit before this, after Michelle had when Michelle had told me you have trauma, Michelle introduced human design to me.
Okay.
And I had all these spiritual practices. I've worked as, a tarot reader. And it's a whole different story, probably a different podcast, but I foresaw the death of my brother before it happened and told people about it and no one believed it. And it happened exactly the way that I told them that it was going to happen.
Wow.
You foresaw your brother's death.
Yeah. Yeah.
How long ahead of time before?
About a year ahead of time. And I told him and everyone about it. No one believed me. And when the events of that, I knew the events of the day that were going to unfold. And when I woke up and started seeing things that were in that vision that I had of that day, I'm like, this is it. No one believed me until it happened.
Oh, wow.
So weird.
And that part of my brain and never turned off. I always say, I don't know what it is. My friend calls it paralary instead of Paranorman, the movie, the cartoon.
Right.
They call it paralary, which is how I got the name of my business.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
I got it.
Interesting.
And, so I've worked with all these spiritual tools for years, and human design sounded like just another spiritual tool. And I was like, Michelle, I don't need
Honestly,
spiritual
the
modality.
first thing I heard when I thought cult.
Yeah.
There's another cult.
Yep.
I mean, nothing against it.
Yeah.
Oh, we both got on our computers the moment you said it. And we're like, together, we're like, what are you finding?
And
I'm like, I don't know if I want to know.
and there's definitely aspects of it. And I'll be completely real that people are very cult-like with it, and I'm like, that's a
I
kind
think
of a
that's
turnoff.
I think that's any religion or any spiritual anything. It can turn into something. That
Right.
it's
You
not
have to
meant
know what
be.
its place is. You have
Yeah.
to know what it's designed to do,
Yeah.
human
Correct.
design,
Yeah.
right? So, and not read more into it than what it's designed to do. I
Right.
think is
Correct. And, after Michelle introduced that, I avoided human design. I was like, because I felt a lot like you guys. I'm like, oh my God. First of all, it's convoluted. It doesn't make sense. It sounds like, Charlie Brown's teacher to me. So I'm not doing this. And finally, when I got to Connecticut, there was one night in Connecticut that I called the transformation point. This is after all the therapy and everything. I'm sitting in my Airbnb, and it's 2 a.m, cannot sleep. Michelle and her family, of course, are very asleep. I'm 865 miles away from this state, so, mom and dad are asleep. Anybody that I could call is asleep, and I'm sitting up, and I'm feeling all of the things, and I have nothing to distract me with. YouTube's not working, nothing's working. And I hear the voice, just go into the mirror and look at yourself. And I'm like, okay. I went to the mirror and looked at myself and all that emotion that had been walled there. When I tell you that, like, I could have filled a bathtub with tears.
Aww.
I let it all just, like, have a place to go.
Right.
And, I mean, I cried and, did that laughing cry that you do.
We call that a cleansing cry.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was,
So therapeutic.
Yeah.
and I just let it all come out and finally saw myself, and then I saw the little boy.
Aww.
I saw little Larry, and I'm like,
Little Larry.
yes.
I kind of like that.
That's what everybody in my family calls me.
We're gonna start calling him LL.
That's what everybody in my family calls me.
LL.
They call me Little Larry. And from there, that's when, like, the real healing work began. That's when I began doing, parts work on my own, and I began doing inner child's work on my own, and I began doing emotional resilience work on my own.
Yes.
I got curious because, like, the one thing that Lil Larry said to me in that bathroom on that night was, I feel like I don't have any power and I feel helpless and I don't feel protected. And I'm like, dude, what? Seriously? Because I put on a great facade for years that I'm all of those things. Not at all. And I'm like, it was the most raw and vulnerable I'd ever felt.
But sometimes we have to get to that point where we just hit that rock bottom to really find a way to healing. And I think it's a place sometimes we need to go.
Yeah.
Well, and I always say, because I know you've seen it with me, I had to be willing to let go of the control. When you start to control everything around you, you control things before they even happen,
Yep.
and you're not trusting the process.
Yep.
It's debilitating. Did I say that right? Debilitating?
It's way better than I said desensitization.
You got it that time.
I did it.
No pressure.
I wasn't put on the spot.
You
Well, I
were.
kind of was,
Yeah,
but
you
yeah. Okay.
Back to you, LL.
Thank you, Nancy. But it was pretty much that rock bottom moment, and I got curious. I got curious about what LL wanted, and I got back home from Connecticut, and my apartment felt different. I was like, oh, I want to stay here, whereas I was avoiding it before.
Right.
I want to be here, and so I went through. I was like, okay. I started clearing out everything that, any pillow, like I completely redecorated. Got everything that, like, he had been on. I got rid of everything. Thousands of dollars, to my undoing, thousands of dollars worth of stuff.
I mean, it sounds like
I
he
hope
cleaned
you're
his whole
keeping
house
that
out.
9-to-5 job.
I took it all to Goodwill. I was like, let this be someone else's Goodwill because I can't.
Yeah.
And I began the work. I spent so many nights without TV because I went into the inner child work and I started doing it. All the while Michelle's talking to me about human design and it's starting to make more sense in the background. So it's starting to make more sense, but I'm like, I'm not letting her know this. So that's starting to happen. And I get to this point where I'm like, okay, dude, tell me more about this powerless and helpless feeling that you're having. And I said, what do you want? What does little Larry want? He was like, well, I want to feel protected and I want to feel like not powerless. I want to be able to, I can defend myself. And I was like, okay, what does that look like for you? I want to go to karate. You want to go to karate? And it's always a thing that I'd wanted to do in the background of my head, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, we didn't have the money for it growing up and all that stuff. I'm an adult now with a job and I can't afford it. So I went to every karate studio within, I know, a 75-mile radius. And everyone I went to, I started listening to that body sensation that says, or And everyone I walk into, this isn't it. Okay, I trust you this time because last time I didn't trust that or I got into a 9.5-year relationship. So I went to every studio and I was like, one of these will say yes, this is home. And the last one that I went into, I walked in there in 20 seconds. Hey, how are you? And I was like, and this is it.
That's
100%.
awesome.
And I had not turned back since, and about to be a black belt. And
Nice.
So crazy. That's wonderful.
Well, Larry can kick your butt.
I know. He's pretty powerful.
he doesn't feel powerless or helpless anymore. And it was around that time, I took the brakes off human design. I was in bed one night right after Connecticut, and I had the human design app on my phone, and I was looking through it. I'm like, kind of like you guys, like, I don't know. And I looked at it, and I started reading, and I was like,
Yeah.
holy hell! Here, do these people know me? Because this is me. This is all me. How I'm supposed to show up to things, how it feels in my body, how I think about things, and I'm like, oh my God! And it made me feel incredibly seen and validated.
And the neat thing is, you're saying that, but now since you've mentioned it to us, Brandi and I have asked other people about human design, and everybody says the same thing.
Yeah, they know about it. And I'm like,
not only do they know about it, but they say that they had
it.
that same experience where,
Yeah.
like, how do these people know this about me?
okay, so talk to us about how do you first start, like if I'm your client,
Yeah.
how does it start? What are the questions you ask me to figure out, what I am,
So
what I'm not?
So human design, you only need a few pieces of information, and people here and there are like, oh, it's astrology. It's not. It's a synthesis of 6 different systems that come together as one system.
Okay.
But you need your birth city and state. You need your birth time. If you don't have your birth time, we can do what's called time rectification, where we can get as close to it as possible. And then we need your birth date. From there, we plug it into the software, or you can do it by hand if you're a crazy person. Doing it by hand is insane. I would not recommend it, but you can do it. You plug it in, and then the software will spit out based on where planetary positions were on the time that you were born.
It's crazy.
It'll let you know what energy type that you are and how your energy is best designed to move and how you're best designed to move through the world, so you don't encounter as much resistance as someone who doesn't know their design.
So let's play along, because
Sure.
you did mine and Brandi's.
Yep.
And this will be great to have you kind of walk through so that the audience can hear what it looks like to really find
You're
out.
about to find out what's wrong with Karla.
Or what's right about Karla.
That's right. Well, and the one thing that I always like to tell people about human design is a lot of these systems, like, you have to believe in something. Human design is not a system of belief. It doesn't compete with Christianity. It doesn't compete with anything. It's not a system that you have to believe in. Human design is a system or a science of experimentation.
Yeah.
They're saying, okay, this is what your energy type is designed to do. This is what you're here to do.
It's
Go out
another
in the
tool
world.
to be in touch with yourself,
Correct.
right? Yeah.
And they say, go out and experiment with it. See if it works. See if it's true for you.
Yeah.
If it's not true for you, throw it away.
Yeah.
If it is true for you, cool. Continue to work with it. I have spent now countless hours trying to disprove human design. I have been trying to poke a hole in it from every angle that I can, and I can't.
Okay.
I've done it with family, and everyone's like, how are you doing?
Because that was a question I did ask you. I was like, do you believe in God? Like, that was the question I asked you. I'm like, are you a Christian? And you're like, yeah, I was raised in the church. And you're like, you even kind of shared with me your mom was like super hesitant because she's like this godly woman.
Yeah.
And she's a believer now.
Yeah, Mom is living by design, and she's like, Mom said, it makes 100% sense. And I was like, how's that? She was like, well, the Bible says we're fearfully and wonderfully made. This is just how it's done. And I'm like, you know what, Mom?
That's a
There
point.
it is.
There it is. That's a good point. Way to go, Mom, again.
Yeah.
Another shout out to Mom.
Absolutely.
Little Larry Mom.
So whose chart am I pulling first?
Karla.
Karla. Why? It's because it's so incredible. Let's
It
hear it.
is.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so this is what your chart looks like. Can they see on camera?
Oh, well, you could put it up
Put
there.
it up there.
Okay, they can see. Hold on.
Yeah.
So this is what a human. Let me turn my brightness down, maybe. So this is what her chart's gonna look like.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
You could see that.
You know, it almost looks like a diamond, and a diamond is a girl's best friend. So look at that. It's like a diamond.
I mean, it looks like something else too. It looks like a pelvic bone to me.
Mom calls it the robot.
Okay.
Can we go with diamond?
Yeah, you can go with that.
The technical term for it is the body graph.
Okay.
Okay, it's a
All
body
right.
graph.
It's a body
Yeah.
graph.
So you
We'll
can
go
see. I
with
mean,
it.
you can see the head up here. You can see the shoulders coming down, and then all that stuff happening
Okay.
in the body, right?
Okay.
So the first big thing I always tell people when they're looking at a human design chart is look at where all the action is happening. So the head's up here. I'm going to use this. The head's up here. You have
Okay.
you have two little. These things are called centers.
So my brain is big, is what you're saying.
Your brain is open.
All
like
the
your brain is open
activity.
like mine.
All the activities going
Mine's
on right
gonna be
up
all
there.
red and black.
So all the activities is happening below here. So this is where the body, right,
Okay.
is where we're intended to actually live life, where we're intended to make a decision from. The mind, which is up here, these two little triangles up here, that's not where we're intended to actually make decisions from. Mental decisions are never a good place for us to make a decision from because your body always knows what it wants to do and where it wants to go.
Okay.
Okay?
Very good to know.
So let's see. Karla, you are I'll show you how I got this, but you are a 1-3 generator. So right here, you can see that 63.1. That 0.1 is part of your profile, what we call human design. So that 1-3 that I talked about, this is the one half of it. You jump over here, that 5.3, the 3 is the other half of it.
Okay.
So you're a 1-3 generator in human design. And what that means for you is you have a sacral response. You're actually an emotional generator. I didn't see that till now. So right here, you're an emotional generator. And so this is your emotional center. This is your sacral center. For you, you're emotional like myself. And emotional is almost a misnomer because what I find with a lot of emotionally defined people is we're always feeling something. Mm-hmm. Always about anything. Like there's always this low hum or low wave of emotion just in the background with us at any given moment. And if someone tries to put pressure on us to make a decision right now, at the moment, this decision needs to be made right now, it throws us into this wave of emotion, and we're like, we have no clarity. We don't know what to do. So what happens with the emotionally defined people like us is we have the emotional wave where it's, I want to do, like the example I use for people, hey, you want to go to a movie tonight at 6? Ask you that at 8 a.m. Oh my God, yes, I've been wanting to see that movie. 7 o'clock, you're like, why the hell did I say I want to go to that movie? There's no reason.
I'm tired.
There's no part of me that wants
I
to go
need a
do
martini.
That.
This
Then
is
at
true
about
about me.
8:30, it's like, well, I mean, I don't go out with them a lot, and then so that's when the mental stuff starts happening, right? And then it crashes down. But I really don't want to go. Like I have stuff I need to do at the house. I just really don't want to go. But I don't know. Maybe it's just an hour and a half movie. Maybe a dinner, and then it crashed. But I swear to God, I don't know why I said. I'm just gonna call him and say no. I'm gonna call him and say no. And what you're looking for is, with the emotionally defined, clarity about decisions happens over time. Our jobs as emotionals is to listen to what keeps on hitting in the clarity. So every time we've thought about it, the resounding thing is, I really don't want to go. 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 So that's what your body's telling you. That's what it's leading you toward. I really don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. Even though at the time when we said, oh yeah, I'd love to go see that movie, it sounded like a good thing. Our thing as emotionally defined people is to actually wait and be like, you know what, give me a call back in a few hours and let me think on it, let me chill on it, let me do some things around it, and I'll talk to you about it then. We're not designed to make a decision in the moment because for us, there's no truth in the now. Mm-hmm. The truth develops over that time. And then also something that I'm recognizing that you're doing as an emotional with a sacral is you've done it your whole life, and your parents have probably told you don't do that. you'll say that and you don't even realize that you're doing it. You'll say, mm-hmm. You want to go do this? Mm-hmm. You want to do this? Mm-hmm. And your parents are probably like, no, don't say mm-mm or mm-hmm. Use your words.
Yeah.
Did you do that?
I don't know. I was really a very wordy child.
A wordy child. Could it mean out of something else?
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you, I say sure a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Maybe not a but I always say, like,
Sure.
my husband says, what does sure mean? You know, I'm like, because I always say sure. And he's like, is that you're excited about it or not excited about it?
And that's so
Sure.
and the sacral, what it does is it makes a sound. So the sacral is this little red square right here.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but it makes a sound, and it makes a sound in an affirmation. It makes an affirmative sound, and it makes a negatory sound. See, I got one messed up too.
I know. Some of those words, you just get a little tongue-tied.
It's really bad. So some people have it where it's, that's most people, and that's how you know you're getting the most pure answer or feedback from your body. If you just listen to yourself, you'll be like, oh shit, I heard it. You'll begin to hear it. But
Yeah.
Sure can also be that same thing. Sure. What does sure mean? And it's in the tone, it's in the vibration
Right.
of what the sure means, because sure and sure are not the same sure.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So it's about knowing what they sound like and then how they're showing up. And that's literally your body telling you, I literally want to go do this thing. I do not want to go do this thing. And the biggest thing for a generator type like yourself to know is, okay, you're not going to do best with big, broad, overarching questions for the most part. But this or that scenarios, yes or no questions, you're going to get closer to an answer quicker than pretty much anybody on the planet as a generator type by asking those kind of pointed questions. So if it's a question of, well, what are you in the mood to eat for tonight? Most generator types is going to be like, I have no effing clue what I want to eat tonight, but do you want chicken, fish, or steak? Oh, yeah, steak.
Is that kind of you?
I mean, I'm a pretty decisive person. Like
that's what he's saying.
I can make a decision pretty quickly and stick to it.
Yeah, and that's the power of your sacral.
Yeah, and in addition to that, I mean, like, once I make that decision, I'm dedicated to it. Like, I'm not going to switch it.
Mm-hmm.
But what he's saying is, do you have to have, like, what do you want to eat tonight? It's not that question. It's when you're given the options. You want Mexican?
Oh, I can do that.
Italian?
Yes,
so
I would say that.
You're probably better at making those decisions if you're given the options versus
Correct.
a general,
An
what do you
open-ended
want
question.
to eat?
Yes.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, you said, I'm pretty a decisive person. When I get my mind going to it,
Yeah.
that's what I want to do. That is because, and I'm jealous because I don't have one. This right here is called the ego or the heart center. And so you just gave it right there. You see, you heard it.
Yes, I did. I'm gonna. Sure. Oh, that's
So
hilarious.
funny.
Okay.
But
You just got busted.
I did.
But the ego center is all about willpower and self-control and self-preservation. So someone with a defined ego, once they get something stuck in their head that this is the way this is going, Jesus himself could step down into the room and be like, go the other direction. You'd be like, yeah, no. This is what I have my mind set
Yeah.
on. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So that's how that ends up coming up in your experience. Now, as a 1-3, which is, I love doing the profile parts, but a 1-3, you're an investigator. So even if you don't realize that you're investigating, you are investigating. And you're investigating because you're looking for stability. You're looking for something to be sure and stable for you. So the 1-3 is always going to be looking around. Did you check this? Did you look at this? Did you uncover this? Did you consider this option? Did you look at this angle? Okay. And you're doing that, and you're probably the person that has a lot of questions or that wants to just know a lot of detail, because the more detail that you have, the more informed of a decision you're able to make, because you're like, okay, this table's not wobbly. We've investigated it. We've looked at it. Everything looks good. It's not wobbly. We can go forward. But nothing happens typically for the 1-3 before they have investigated it, and they're like, okay, I can set my stuff on this table. Everything's cool. Everything looks good. Cool.
That is really true before 2 martinis or 3. But really.
I
because
believe, no, I think that's
eventually
what
you put something on the table.
That to me, I think that kind of goes good with your therapy though, because you're such an amazing therapist.
It does.
So you're having to do a lot of like research on your clients through them educating you. I even see it with our podcast. You're constantly researching our clients, that kind of stuff. So I think that's totally you.
Exactly. If I'm going to speak to something, I want to make sure it's backed up by facts.
I just kind of go with it.
And
Disclaimer.
And you're also 1-3, so you have a healthy skeptical mindset too, and you have this experimental mindset too, because the 3 line is a trial and error line. So you're like, I'll try it. I
do love to try things.
You do. You really do.
I'll go for it. I'll try it out. But there's always a lead-in research piece before you're like, okay, I feel safe enough to go try this out. And your life is going to be, and probably has been, a series of, subconscious like trial and error on a lot of different things. I'm going to try this out. Does it work? Nope. Cool. So you're the person that you could see someone that won $50 million in the lottery, and then 3 weeks later they're on the news crying about how they're broke. And your response typically is going to be like, well, at least you know what to do now. Next time, if you win $50 million again, you know what not to do the next time.
Yes.
You're here to gather information to see what works and see what doesn't work, and then you're able to demonstrate that for people. So you can see like people going the wrong direction, people going into like a burning building, and you're like, this is not going to work out well for you, and I'm going to tell you why. And that analytical drive might be the thing that like people are like, oh my God, she's always saying, well, did you think about this? Did you consider this option? Did you do it this way? And people are like, they get so on my nerves. It's just the way that you are. It's the way your energy is actually designed.
I promise to say it with a smile.
You do. You really do.
But yes.
Okay, so what is mine? We're running a little on time. So
Okay,
what
okay.
does mine say about me?
Yes.
Okay,
this is going to be so good.
Juicy.
Juicy is a good word.
Very, very juicy.
Oh. I'm just being funny.
Let's see here. So you are a 4-1. So let me.
A 4-1. You're 4-1.
You're rare.
I am?
You're rare.
Well.
For 4-1s are
That is really true. She is one of a kind.
4-1s account for 2% of the population.
Hey.
On the planet.
See?
This is true.
Is that the Neanderthal in me too? Because my 23andMe came back with high levels of Neanderthal. So that would put it right there.
That would be perfect. Okay, let's find out what this 4-1 projector is.
So you're a 4-1. My fiance is a 4-1. Okay. Gina's a 4-1.
Okay.
So I'm like, I have 4-1s all around.
Okay, Karla just spit up her water.
All of that just fit perfectly.
She did. She had a little too much of Gina yesterday.
Setting it up for you. So this is what your body graph looks like.
That's a lot of brown.
So you are a non-emotional projector.
Okay.
You are a splenic projector.
Okay, what does that mean?
Okay.
Splenic. You're splenic.
You are splenic. So this is the spleen system right here. It's opposite of the emotional center. So she has the emotional center, you have the spleen center.
Okay.
So the spleen center is all about intuition, natural and unnatural fears and things like that. But for you, where she has a completely open head nostril like myself, which means we can get into the weeds really quickly and think about things 45 different ways and get on our own nerves quite frequently. And it's hard for us to kind of typically like make a decision. You have a very fixed way of thinking about things. If you see it in your purview and you can think about it in a way that makes sense for you, it just makes sense. For you, 1 + 1 is 2.
Yeah.
You say to an open head person, I'm like, well, I mean, 1 + 1 could equal something else. And
I'm like, no, it's 2. It's 2. It's 2, y'all.
Show your work.
That's right. How do you figure this out? Because I see it's 2.
Yes, and that's the beauty of the defined ajna people. You guys have a very fixed way of looking at the world, and you guys are here to sort out and to be able to figure things out. So for me and you, we're always trying to be certain. We're always trying to be sure. We're always trying to make sure that we know what we have going on. You, on the other hand, you figured it out. You know what's going on. you're certain, you're sure, and this is the direction we need to go. But you're getting, but have you thought about, and then, no, this is the way we need to go. No, but you need to really think about, and
I can't tell you the number of times I said, slow down, Brandi.
Because you automatically see it, and you're like, oh, okay, we're going there.
Yeah, we're doing it.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean she's always right, though, right?
No, you're right. It doesn't.
It does not mean she's always.
That's a good statement. You're right.
It doesn't, because
she's trying to justify it.
it's a good question, and you're right, because the head and the ajna are not for making decisions from. They're just the energy to figure things out.
Right.
But the decision making, like you, comes from the waiting out the emotional wave. For you, it comes out in those little whispers of intuition that you get. Like when you meet someone, or when you get into a situation and you hear that, and it's so fleeting for you. It is almost like a little whisper of a butterfly. But like once that thought is gone, you're like, I was just thinking of something, and I can't get it back. It's that feeling that you're always going to be looking for.
Okay.
Because that's the feeling that how you're going to make your decision. The splenic center is the oldest center in the human body. So back when we were Neanderthals,
Thank you.
See?
it was the center. It was the fight or flight center. And when you're making those kind of decisions, you don't have time to be like, well, it's a tiger. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't. It is run, and your body needs to start moving and follow that. So that's the way you're intended to show up in the world.
But they say don't run from a bear. I don't know about tigers, but don't run from a bear.
I don't plan on running into any of them.
I'm not getting in a position where I'm near any of them.
That's where I know. I ain't doing it.
But and that's also what you just said there. That's a very splenic thing, because the spleen is also about preserving the self. And I'm not getting anywhere near a bear. That's a very self-preservation. It's an automatic. Not
if
for the
you
debate.
do it, you're probably gonna get in trouble. So just don't do it.
Absolutely.
But I think about those beautiful hikes in the mountains.
Yeah,
And those
okay,
beautiful deaths and being on 2020.
Exactly. I do not want to be the next episode of Missing or.
Have you seen him?
Yeah.
No, none of that.
Even with bear spray, I don't care.
I'd much rather be in a place like this.
Yeah.
And then let's see. So you also you're a 4-1. So how I got there?
4-1.
4-1. So you see that 23.4.
Right.
So we take that 4, and then you have that 30.1. You take that 1, and that makes you a 4-1.
Okay.
So again, 4-1s are very rare. Now, anybody in human design watching this, you'd be like, well, there's a 1-4, there's a 4-1. 1-4s are not rare. 4-1s are rare.
Okay.
You guys lie in the middle. You guys are the bridge and the connection between the entire human design chart.
Thank you.
She's blessed, everybody.
and I'm gonna make this make amazing sense to you. Who's been the one texting me back when we've been talking?
Texting you. Yeah. Okay.
And you've just been kind of sitting back and
I put a lot of thumbs up or hearts.
She's a thinker. She's like, I don't know. Should I respond? I'm like, yeah, let's just do it.
And that's that open head najna. I don't know. Should I? And you're like, I'm responding. Cool.
Yeah.
That's the defined head najna happening.
Well, we've kind of gotten the habit where I know she's going to respond, so I don't worry about it.
Springy's got it.
But the line 4, you guys are the connector line. You guys are the networking line. You guys are the people that can sell ice to an Eskimo.
Okay.
You guys are designed to make and build connections with people. You guys are the best business people. You guys make the best entrepreneurs in the world, because you guys see it and you're like, oh, I might not know what I'm doing.
I can learn it.
But I can learn it, and I can network, and I can build a network of people around me that do know what they're doing.
Right.
And so, for example, with my fiance, I did a metaphysical fair last year. And I said, I'm just going to hijack his design. I'm going to bring him with me, and we're going to see what happens. And he knows nothing about human design. He's not interested in human design or anything like that. He went with me. We set up my table. He said, I'm just going to work it. I had a line out the door and wrapped around the building. Nobody else in that mall had a table like that. And I was like, yeah, I knew that's what was going to happen, because you're a networking person. You're going to be able to go up to a person and just be like, you know what, I love that on you. Where did you get that? And then just break a conversation, and people are automatically, naturally just comfortable talking to you guys.
Okay.
That's what she does. I'm telling you, everywhere we go, she finds something neat about somebody and like compliments them, and then they just start talking. And I'm like, Brandi, we got to be somewhere. Come on,
Yes.
let's go.
And
The thinker over here. We didn't plan on this.
And that's the thing. You guys can talk to anyone because you guys are the network people. You guys are literally here to build connections. So you guys can find a moment of entry and people just gravitate to and love you guys. You can talk to anyone about anything, even if you don't know anything about it. You'd be like, I love that play sign over there. That is so great. And they will sit down on you and they have poured out their life story to you. Or they're just sitting here talking to you and it's been 2 hours and you're like, yeah. And it doesn't feel like that for you because your energy is actually designed to bridge the connections between two people. So that separation that people feel, you're actually the person that brings that together.
Okay.
And then the one line on your side of your profile is exactly what hers is. But we're also going to investigate. So now that I've made this connection, let's investigate and see how secure this thing is. Is this someone or is this something that I want to continue to proceed with? Do I want to go down this road? Do I want to go down this avenue? Do I want to continue doing this thing? Because although you've made the connection and you're all these good things, there's the drive and the subconscious thing for you is, well, not all people are going to do what they say they're going to do. Mm-hmm. Not all people are this or that. So let's just find out. And so your job is going to be to investigate. So that's where you guys are actually going to kind of meet each other a little bit, whereas you're going to figure things out a little bit quicker than you are. You're going to arrive at a conclusion much quicker. But you're not going to bypass that. Oh, we still need to just take a look and do our due diligence and have our options ahead of us so we know what's going on there.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a little bit more impulsivity to me.
Yeah.
Whereas, that's where we kind of complement each other.
And that's true, because I'm going to investigate it and make sure it's the right thing to do first.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's just go with it. Let's just go. Which is not always good, but you kind of learn through trial and error.
Yeah.
And it's
I would like to have less trials and less
gut.
errors.
So you can't because that three line is there, and it's there for a benefit. Like a lot of people's like, oh my God, I'm a 3-line. It's such a bad thing because it's a trial. No, you're literally seeing what works and doesn't work. The job is to extract from that. Okay, this worked. We're in the same situation again. Here's 6 months later.
Well, I probably said that wrong. I don't like the errors. I don't mind the trials. I don't mind doing the work.
Yeah.
I don't want to be wrong.
She does not.
Same.
She does not.
Same.
Yeah.
And then, the big thing that I didn't differentiate between, for all you human design experts watching, is like, how come you didn't say this? Okay, because that will happen. But so as a generator, you're the energy type that has the most energy besides a manifesting generator, which is what my energy type is. You have the most energy. So it's like the tortoise and the hare kind of story. So if you put
the tortoise wins, by the way.
The tortoise wins. So if I'm the hare, and
I was like, which one are you, though? The hare or the tortoise?
She's the tortoise.
Okay. Am I the hare?
No, I'd be the hare in this
Okay.
one. Because I'm the manifesting generator. The manifesting generator, like me, we're designed just like go, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom. And in doing that, what happens? You skip steps.
You burn out.
You all that stuff. But we have this limitless energy, and then so we skip steps. So we'll see something go A, B, C, and we're gonna skip to R because we didn't need all the rest of the stuff. And then we've skipped all these steps, so we got to go all the way back up to C, and then that pisses us off. But with you're like, okay, no, A, B, C. We're gonna get there. A, B, C, D, E, and we'll get all the way to Z. We're skipping steps. Sometimes that works for us. Sometimes that doesn't. So that's how your energy is designed to work. Now, you as a projector, you don't have a major motor in your body, and some of these centers are called motor centers in your body.
Shut up, Karla.
So you are going to tend to be the person that's like, I'm not doing that. I'm tired. I'm over it. I don't want to do this.
Totally me.
It's because projectors don't have a battery in their system. You guys are designed for about like good 4 hours worth of good work.
Yeah, and
you're like, I'm done. Thank you so
good.
much. I'll talk to you guys
I
tomorrow.
contributed 4 hours. I'm good.
Yeah. So you guys aren't.
And I'm like,
to work.
we're not done yet,
Yeah.
Brandi. Got to keep going.
And that's
is.
the generator. The generator's like, let's just go. And you're like, I don't have anything else left to give.
Yeah.
Honestly, when you guys get at that point, when you're like, I have nothing left to give, that's actually when you guys are supposed to separate. Because she's pulling on sacral energy. That's why when you could disconnect from her, you feel like, oh God. Because she's pulled all that sacral energy out of you, and you're like, I just want to rest. I don't know why I feel like this. I just want to rest. That is because she's borrowing energy from you
I
to make
borrow it
her
all the time.
to make herself keep going to keep up with you.
It's like a vampire.
Yeah. And then, like, as soon as you disconnect from her, you're like, God, I need a fucking nap. I just need to, like, chill from it.
Tanking.
No one call me. No one say anything
Yeah.
to me. Because of projector energy, projectors are designed to lead.
Yeah.
They're designed to show you where to go, how to get there. So if we use the analogy of a car, the projector is the GPS. Right.
Girl, you just need to follow
Well, I'm just
my
saying,
lead.
you know, once she checks out for me at night, I'm like, I'm pinging her at 4 a.m.
She
I'm
is.
pinging her at 4
She
a.m.
is, but guess what? I don't answer.
And see, and that's that generator energy, because the moment we get sleep as generator types, that battery, because we have the most powerful battery in the system in our bodies, that thing comes online and is like, zoom, and you're like, oh my God, I can't right now. It's because of projector energy. You guys need a lot more time to replenish your energy before it's time for you to go out and be in the world again. So you're kind of the motor of the world, and you're kind of the GPS.
Okay.
And so if you look at...
I'll get you there, but I'm not going to keep you going. She's going to keep you going.
correct.
I may get you home. Depends.
Correct.
Dang, she's my ride home.
And then me as a manifesting generator, I'm in the car and I'm like, ooh, turn here. Ooh, turn there. Ooh, turn there. Larry, we were going to Indiana. I know, but if you turn here, what if you turn here? Larry, now we've added 4 hours on our trip.
Okay,
Yeah, but
well,
we'll still
we're
get
about
there.
to get in the car.
Oh, so that
Larry,
wouldn't be
so-
me. I'm like, we're going from point A to point B.
See, you see point going my point, my point. I'm like, let's go A, B, X, P, and Z.
That
And we're
doesn't
fine.
work, Larry. Doesn't work that
No,
way.
but let me tell you, her driving, I mean, she's going to get you there, but it may not be alive.
May have to stop by a hospital on the way.
No, point A to point B.
Point A, point B, hospital.
Yes. So that's just like a very, very low level
Small,
view of
yeah. Very
human
But
design.
it's very interesting. It is very
Yeah.
interesting. And so I encourage you guys, if you're interested in finding more about that,
Reach out to Larry.
Reach out to Larry.
How can they reach out to you?
Email me over at Larry@Paralarry. That's PARA Larry.com. If you find me on social media, God bless you, because I have nothing in me that wants to check social media. I check it every now and again. I check it for other people, but for myself, I'm like, I don't feel like doing that, so I don't. So the best way to get at me is just shoot me an email, and I'll get to you that way.
Well, thank you so much for being a
Yeah,
part of our
it's been
show.
wonderful.
Very
Thank
interesting. Very interesting. And I'm sure we'll be talking more
Yes,
with him about our
100%.
human design.
Yeah.
That's my-
Absolutely.
And how it works. We
How
love
works.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you or anyone you know is struggling with mental health issues, please reach out to talk to someone you trust. Get connected to a mental health professional who can help you find ways to cope and ultimately feel better. If you are having suicidal or self-harm thoughts or thoughts of hurting another person, please go to the nearest ER, call 911, or contact the National Suicide Hotline at 988. Thank you for tuning in to Mental Perk. We hope our talk today highlighted real people working through real issues based on mental health. Our goal at Mental Perk is to make sure every one of you knows you're worthy. We're in this together.